Welcome back, everybody, with your favorite host, myself, Daniel.
And Josh, this is Far From Finished. Thank you guys for listening to another episode. We're back at it once again at the Rad Pad over here at Daniel's Studios, doing what we do best, being silly as fuck and having a good time.
Thank you for tuning in to your favorite podcast. This is Far From Finished. And I want to set a goal for everybody before we get started. It's nothing hard. 1 week, 7 days, a certain amount of minutes, certain amount of hours. I don't know the exact amount.
What the fuck?
But the goal itself is for each day for a week. Take 5 minutes out of your day, only 5 minutes. It's 300 seconds to meditate.
So you can do that math, but you can't do the math of the minutes or the hours in a week.
That's not what we're talking about here, Josh. 5 minutes out of every day for 1 week. Meditate. Take time. If you have to, just practice a little bit. There's music out there that you can practice with. There's guided meditations. Slightly off. That was close. Just for 5 minutes each day for 1 week. See how it affects you. See if it does affect you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you want to talk about it, shoot me a message. Let me know how you feel after that week's over, and if it's helped you at all.
That's a great goal, Daniel. Let's get it done. This is Far From Finished. Thanks for listening.
Alright, so as you know, I don't know if everyone knows, Josh, I think you might have heard of it at this point. Just recently, Texas did something stupid yet maybe brave. So brave yet so controversial.
In the words of a great comedian.
Exactly. But, as Eric Andre did say, bada bing, bada boom, bada bop.
I don't know when he said that. But anyways, they did something very controversial yet very brave in freaking decriminalizing hemp, which the equipment that it takes for law enforcement to recognize the difference between weed and hemp is actually very expensive. So now it's becoming to a point where technically through a loophole, weed has technically been decriminalized in Texas. It's not fully yet, but not like officially, but through that, Texas is going to spend the amount of money it's going to take to get that equipment. They're going to probably hear a lot of pushback and a lot of feedback that they're not going to like as far as like where that money could actually go instead of being used on this.
And then they would have to actually amend that bill probably at some point. Oh,
Yeah.
well, they wouldn't at that point, I guess, if they got the equipment. But that's going to be it for a while now. So it's technically decriminalized. But either way, most people aren't going to get arrested for small amounts. I don't know what a small amount is. Maybe it's under 2 ounces, under an ounce. But even if you have 14 grams and that's a small amount and you're getting away with it.
I mean, they might take it out of your car, but you're not going to jail, so that's nice.
You might get a ticket, but yeah, you're not going to jail, so that's nice. It's a plus side.
That is a plus side for a lot of people that have, and hopefully eventually it'll get to a point where people that are in jail for small petty weed charges eventually get like their charges dropped and maybe even their sentence dropped if it was just something like people that get like years in prison for having an ounce of weed on them or something like that. Like that's just like stupid, you know what I mean?
Criminals against humanity.
Yeah.
So you're smoking weed, you're going to jail, but you can burn down forests and put kids in prisons because they're Mexican
That's fucked up. Yeah, you're right.
or they're illegal. But you know what you can't do? You can't smoke weed. That's what's bad, everybody. Don't do it.
That green plant that grows out of the ground.
The devil's lettuce. It's terrible. Nah, but personally, in my opinion, I think drugs should be legalized anyways. I'm not saying everyone should do drugs. That's not what I'm saying. Don't take that as what I'm saying because definitely should not do most drugs. There are a lot of bad drugs out there, a lot of addictive drugs. But what I am saying is they should be legalized considering the fact that if we did legalize them, they'd be more regulated. And quote unquote, the war on drugs because of how efficient that is, and how great that's going.
Right.
So spectacular, And supposedly, I guess, with all the illegal people bringing over illegal drugs, here's a solution. How about if you legalize them? There's no such thing as bringing over illegal drugs because they're legal.
Well, freaking Mexico, I believe, just decriminalized cocaine like recently as well. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that works out. But yeah, no, I mean, there's even not just the legal people bringing over illegal drugs. There's legal people going out of the country and coming back with illegal drugs and things like that. And it's to a point where it's like, how much can you really control what a human does if they're not really hurting somebody? I mean, obviously you have your people who are hurting people while they take drugs or are under the influence, but that's also alcohol. And I mean, you see how prohibition worked whenever they took away alcohol from people. They just sold it like it was an illegal drug, just like anybody else. I mean, and that rose like crime that fucking put more people in jail for shit that they were just trying to enjoy themselves and maybe kick back and have some whiskey, you know what I mean?
The way I kind of see it is just like you see prohibition. People were saying, oh, this is making a ton of money. If you legalize drugs, you're going to bring in revenue regardless. And of course, you can say a corporation's going to get corrupt, which of course most corporations are corrupt.
Right.
But my point here is trying to say that if you were to legalize these drugs, you're getting stuff imported here illegally a lot, and people are selling, just like the J.P. Morgan ship that had, I don't know how much cocaine on it. It was a lot, though.
I don't
$1 billion worth of cocaine.
Yeah, I don't remember the amount, but it was a fair amount.
$1 billion worth of cocaine.
That's a lot. With a B?
Yes.
Oh my
God. $1 billion. If you were to regulate that, that would take a lot of these drug dealers off the streets, or a lot of these big name drug dealers. I'm pretty sure if you regulate it, it's going to less likely going to be mixed with fentanyl, so you wouldn't be getting as many lace drugs. People would be able to go to rehabilitation centers or safe places to where they could do these harder drugs if you do have addictions, and most of those places are meant to help you come off of those drugs as well. What was it, Portugal?
Yeah, Portugal decriminalized all drugs in 2001, and it showed like great signs of like decrease in overdoses, decrease in
HIV, right?
HIV, what's it called? Infections through like dirty needles and things like that. Also increase like the ability for people to like utilize and experiment with drugs they never had before in like a safe space controlled by doctors and things like that. It became a system where they actually had people that would come in with heroin addictions and get heroin from the doctors, and after like 5 or 6 treatments, you would have these people like actually never return. They wouldn't have to anymore. Like they would be cured from their addiction. They'd like understand like that maybe this isn't like all they need for their life. Which kind of brings the thought of like maybe all these people are getting addicted to these drugs for the simple fact that it's illegal, and it's like they're doing something like that's against the law. They feel the rush of doing something that's illegal. You know what I mean?
I mean, there are people that have addiction for deeper seated issues.
For sure, but that's like more what you were talking about as far as like there's not really gateway drugs. It's more of like you allow yourself to be like your own gateway to like negative addictions and negative things.
Yeah, I don't really believe that there's gateway drugs. It's more so issues that we have to deal with ourselves, personal issues, whether that's stuff from our childhood, molestation, rape, traumas that happen to you. Those things can really be hidden down in there, and what better way to mask that with these temporary feelings of I'm okay through drug use. But I feel as though if you go into these places and you're able to use drugs safely, or you have people who understand what you're going through, someone else who might be going through something else, those things help you out a lot more instead of feeling like you're alone. And I don't mean being around other drug addicts are gonna come on, do it with me. Someone who's trying to, learning to cope with it, or someone who's learning to get through it in one of these centers. And I think that'd be a way better option than what we have now.
What do we have now?
A lot of illegal drugs.
Which is like that's what I'm saying. Like, what kind of system do we have now compared to that? Like compared to a system that's actually providing change.
We have no system.
That's weird, right?
It is weird in my
it's like
perspective.
We're conducting a war on drugs without conducting an experiment to finish off the war. Like, wouldn't the way to win the war on drugs to be allowing other people to just do the drugs and see that maybe they shouldn't? Like, if the government thinks that drugs are really that bad, wouldn't we be able to find that out for ourselves? You know what I mean? Like if they know it's bad, why do they know it's bad, but we all of a sudden we want it so bad? Is it because they say it's bad and we're like curious on like whether or not they're telling us the truth, or is it because it's actually bad? If it's actually bad, we'll be able to find out. If we die, then that's fucking terrible. Obviously, they want to prevent that. But if we don't, we'll be able to learn from that lesson. You know what I mean? If we can get into like a overdose situation where you almost died, you're not gonna do that shit again. Like you might if you're an idiot and you just want to kill yourself, but that's like not necessarily like all the people that like I guess overdose on drugs maybe not be they may be taking like substances that aren't necessarily what they signed themselves up for. It could be cut with other shit, which would be taken care of if you have a center where you can go to where like the doctors are testing that shit to make sure it's pure and clean and shit like that.
It's still a tough situation to look at, but when it comes to things like that, I always want to see it to where people are understanding the bigger situation rather than saying that's bad, don't think about it. It's basically like when you tell kids don't do that, you turn 18, what are you going to go try to do because you've always been told not to do that, so you want to see for yourself.
It's like the notion of like, hey, the stove is hot, don't touch it. Well, I mean, like, I wasn't gonna touch it, but now I kind of want to.
Exactly. Or so, you know what, you're gonna clean your room and someone says, clean your room. Now I kind of don't want to because you told me to.
Now it's not that I don't want to because you told me to. It's the fact of like, if I do it now, it's not gonna be because I wanted to clean my room or I should have cleaned my room. It's because somebody else told me to. So now I got like. It doesn't make any sense whenever you like say it out loud, but it's actually like that notion of like I'm gonna defy the rules. I don't want to do my own thing. I want to be my own person. I can't have other people tell me how to live my life and shit like that. And I'm sure everybody feels that way at some point.
And when you're taking the time to understand it though, and you're not just having people tell you don't do that. Let's say you do have a research facility. They have instructions or they have some research based on the drug that you're going to try. It lets you know this is a recommended dosage. This is what can happen to your body. This is what can happen to your brain. Try to refrain from doing this because this is what can happen to your body over time. And actually have facts there. You're informing the people about what's right and what's wrong. I mean, let's be honest. Dare, that's not going to do anything. Because when you get out in the real world, you're going to go try things. So if I can go to the store and buy it, but they have here, hey, be careful. I want to let you know this dosage is lethal. This could kill you. This is not safe for you to do.
Or yeah, like if you pair this with alcohol, it could cause you to like go into like cardiac arrest or something like that. Just like that's what I'm saying. Like yeah, if you're able to go to like a store, like you said, that would be like dope. You'd have the benefits of each and everything there laid out, as well as the negative effects, as well as the side effects. You'd have somebody tell you the dosage, how to like take it, how to like perfectly like set yourself up for a good environment, for a good experience. You'd be able to have like maybe even a spiritual like or like a psychologist there to talk you through like maybe some things that you've experienced, maybe to like let you know whether this is a good like idea for you or not, things like that. You can take like a psyche eval and things like you know what I mean, like
yeah. There's a lot of things we could end up doing that we're definitely not even attempting to do. Right. Probably won't have those changes happen in America anyways for a long time. And
I wouldn't say a long time. It just depends on how long it takes for I guess people to understand that that's an important task to like put on the table. I mean, you don't really see the war on drugs being that big of a really like standpoint as far as like the main topics of discussion in like the presidency or even in government, like even in like state government or anything like that. It's not even on the ballot. Like it sometimes is, sometimes they bring it up, but it's rare.
To be fair, most of the important stuff going on in the world is not on the ballot, such as our environment. Is exactly. The Amazon forest is getting burnt down, Josh.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like, so if that shit's not even getting talked about, like how much change do you think they're actually going to put forth towards this shit? And that's what I'm saying. It might take a long time, but that's only going to happen if nobody pays attention to it like they've continued to do.
It's always a tough situation when it comes to situations like these as well, because I don't condone doing drugs. I'm not a person that's going to go tell somebody, you should do drugs, or drugs are good for you. There's a lot of drugs I think are terrible for you, and people do bad, messes up your brain. I don't think you should do things consistently, but at the same time, I also believe there are drugs, herbal medicines, certain things that are helpful in certain aspects that can help expand your mind or help you resolve issues deeper within yourselves. That'll touch situations you might have forgotten about.
Or just open new perspectives in your head that let you see things a different way and allow you to see things from less of a personal view and more of a like connected and gathering view, to understand that you're not alone in this world, and maybe that you should worry about your neighbor. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world.
I think group therapy, stuff like that can be really helpful. And recently, they're trying out mushrooms, which is FDA approved, and they're working towards getting MDMA FDA approved.
Right.
They're saying MDMA can help to cure alcoholism.
They're trying to start trials for MDMA, I believe.
Exactly. But what people don't get isn't just, oh, I'm going to take this, I'm going to get better. Like, I'll be honest, I've taken psychoactive drugs, and it's helped me gain a different perspective on things. It's changed my conscience up a little bit, and I think I've become a better person and wanted to help people more through certain experiences. But I'm also not going to go say, this is going to be what's going to change your life, and this is the thing that's going to be the key to your success, because that's not what it is. It's a lot of self-evaluation. It's help from people around you, understanding support's important. And I think that's what a lot of these tests are as well. You have people doing the MDMA test with psychotherapy hand in hand with it. So you're not just taking the drug, and it's only a small, minimal amount, about 0.08 of the MDMA associated with someone talking to them, because it's going to break down those walls that you're not used to, breaking down, going to have you open up. Serotonin's going to be boosted a little bit.
Right.
You're going to be more willing to talk things through and kind of
explain them in a more broad view.
Because alcoholism and a lot of drug addictions, like we had said just before, come from deeper seated things that we kind of push back, or something that we're trying to block, or maybe we're bored with life, we're not enjoying what's going on. There's something that we just have to figure out about ourselves, and those can break down walls sometimes, and to have someone who's a professional talk with you can help that out a lot.
For sure. And there's also been studies that have shown that MDMA and psilocybin both have had nice positive effects on PTSD patients and things like that. People from like that have dealt with trauma in their life have taken these drugs in certain studies and had like the same thing you're talking about, psychotherapy, and talked through like their experiences. And actually some of them, it cured their PTSD to a almost like full extent, to where they have little to no symptoms of that shit anymore. Shit's crazy. I was reading that shit the other day. I forgot the article though.
And for me, was someone who definitely supports herbal medicines and someone who supports psychoactive drugs that can potentially help to improve someone. Mm-hmm. It kind of angers me in a sense that people who, don't get me wrong, you can take it recreationally, have fun with them every now and then.
I mean, it's not for everybody.
But don't overdo it.
Right, it's not for everybody. First of all, just like understand that just because somebody that you know has done it and you think that maybe you're more capable of your drugs or more capable of whatever, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily it's for you. Like, some people just aren't built for that shit, and I don't know what the science is on that. Definitely, if you're schizophrenic, please stay away from psychoactive drugs. That's not what you need at all. That shit will fuck you up badly. And
you don't need to be taking 6 or 7 tabs. I guarantee you, 1 is enough for the average person.
Like, if you
2 or more.
If you're gonna take more than 2 or maybe even 3, then please like be with like people that you trust to like have you in like a safe environment to like actually watch over you and keep you in a good state of mind, because that shit can get crazy. It can take people to places they never expected to be. I'm not saying that it's bad. It could be great, but some people it can be very intense and very mind-bending to a point where they weren't really like ready for that, and it can get to a point where they start freaking out and don't know really who to trust or what's going on, where they're at or where they need to be, and that's what most people would call a bad trip. And it's not the most uncommon thing to have a bad trip, but it's also not something that you should seal your experiences on. You can necessarily have a bad trip and then never have a bad trip again. I mean, I don't know. I've had bad trips, but I've also had incredible trips that were life-changing as well. So I'm on both sides of the coin on that one, as far as that goes.
When it comes to drugs, I think a lot of them are bad, but when you are using the ones that can potentially change you, it's starting with deep down in yourself. And why I find that they're so important is because you can really go into depth with yourself. And when you start to understand yourself a little bit better, you can start to understand somebody else a little bit better. Because you can understand all those things that are bothering you. You can understand why do I act like this when I'm around certain people? Why am I doing these certain things that I know aren't good for me, but I continue to do them? And that's when you start to reflect. And sometimes that can send you into a bad state of mind because you don't understand it and you don't want to. Or you might start thinking, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this and I'm not that. But you have to keep asking the questions, why? What is it that brings you to that? And you have to understand, you can make the changes from there. So I think they are good in certain aspects, and the research that they're doing is great for a lot of it. I'm a very spiritual person, so I think you can figure out, it can take you half the way, but you have to lead yourself the other half the way. There's never going to be a drug that or anything that you take that's just going to magically, poof, you're the smartest person alive now, or hey, now you're automatically just going to be the better person tomorrow.
Right. I mean, I have a few quotes that I remember in my head that actually kind of tie to this shit that I rarely remember who said them because it always leaves my brain, but I always remember the quotes. One is that whenever you find peace within yourself, you become the kind of person that finds peace within others. And the other one is that as we are liberated from our own fear, we become the kind of person that... Wait, fuck, no, I fucked that one up. The second one is... It's as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And those mean something to me because it's like as you allow yourself to go through and break down each and everything that you're afraid of or what bothers you or what you're worried about, you allow yourself to understand those things to a point where you find the solutions to your own problems. And whenever you become the type of person that's a problem solver, people pay attention to that shit and like actually get inspired to like not only handle their own shit but help other people handle theirs as well.
It'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. And those quotes are actually really good quotes. I feel like I've heard them. I'm not 100% sure. I'll probably forget them after
Like I said,
this.
I forgot who wrote them. I think they're different people.
But I completely agree 100% with both of those. How you feel about yourself definitely will project about how you feel with others. And your insecurities are going to come out regardless. You have to face these things. And there's going to be certain things you do in life that are going to force you to face these things. You got to allow yourself to accept these things and understand these things for what they are. And in my personal opinion, people can hate on certain drugs or hate on certain aspects of what it is. But I think when you start digging deeper, I don't think that you should do them a lot. I think you should experience things, though. I think you should step out of your comfort zone, try some things here and there. There are things I don't think you should try. Heroin's definitely one of those things I don't think you should try. Anything like that, anything that's a needle going into your arm, probably is not great for you.
Probably not, no.
Probably not something you want to do.
I would agree with that. Stay away from that shit. Also, things that go up your nose, I mean, that's not really pretty healthy for you either, so please don't do that shit either. You're fucking your brain up.
I mean, I would also say don't stick it up your butt. That's personal preference, though. I mean, if you want to do that.
That's personal preference as well. I mean, do your thing, I guess. I don't know the negative.
I've never done it. It's not
I don't
my
know the
thing.
bodily effects on that, so I'm not gonna say that's good or bad. I don't know the science on that one.
It's not necessarily bad. It basically puts it in your bloodstream faster.
Right, it hits you faster, sometimes more intensely, but I know that, but I don't know the science as far as like how that fucks your body up. I mean, it doesn't go into your digestive system at all, so I mean, at that point, I don't know how it's being broken down, or what it's being broken down by, or how that affects your body.
I'll give you a fun fact on that. That's not really anything pertaining to that, but kind of.
So it's a fun fact, but it's not on that?
It is kind of on that.
Then how does
the term for putting a drug up your butt is actually going to be called boofing.
Boofing. Okay.
So we learned a new term today. It's a new word. So
we're boofing out
now
here.
You know what boofing is.
Well, we're not boofing. I guess
we're
some
not,
people
but
are.
it's just an interesting thing to think about. They can be a lot of fun, though.
What can? Boofing?
No,
okay. Fair
I'm
enough.
saying do everything in moderation. Once again, alcohol is bad too. if you overdo it.
So cigarettes, stop smoking cigarettes. That shit's so last decade.
Even Juuls, in moderation, they're both still terrible.
I don't fuck with Juuls either. That's just me.
I don't think either of those help you in any. Either of those are really. I'm a better person today after I hit that cigarette. I don't think I have never heard anyone say that.
I would say smoke more weed more than anything at that point. If you're going to smoke anything, if you want to smoke anything, let it be marijuana.
Also, I want to say this on
That's just my preference, but also that's illegal, so I also didn't say that as far as, like, you can't quote me, but I don't know. Yeah.
I want to say this on that, too. Don't forget, if you smoke weed every day, and you can say, I'm not addicted. Yeah, it's not addictive physically, but let's not lie to ourselves either and say,
yeah, I mean,
I can stop anytime I want. Stop now. Yeah, I don't want to. Okay, good point. You really showed me with that one, kid.
I mean, if you have a reason that, like, if you're fucking up in everything and every point of view in life, and somebody has like to go and talk to you about that, then I understand that. Then maybe you should stop. But if you're handling business and you smoke weed every day, I mean, don't really let people tell you what to do. Live your life.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're handling your business and the person talking down to you, just talking down to you because you're smoking weed every day, allow yourself to understand that they don't know what they're talking about, and they're probably not handling their business either. Just do what you do. Live your life. Enjoy yourself, but also don't be a fuck up. It's not cool. Nobody likes to fuck up in this story of life.
Take time to understand things. Don't rush to say things are bad, which there are things that aren't great, but if you took the time to understand it better, you could actually help other people learn about these things. You can help them grow, and maybe it's not for them, maybe something they want to try. And if it is something you want to try, make sure it's safe, make sure it's something you want to do. Because that is the future. You may not agree with it, but drugs like that are the future because they do have a place, and they don't really have too many side effects. MDMA, if you do too much, can mess with your brain, your serotonin levels, cause depression, anxiety. But if you're taking it in moderation in doses between 0.08 to 0.15, it's safe to say that, and you give it time to let your brain heal, it won't really cause any long-term effects. Same mushrooms, safe dosage. No long-term effects. LSD, no long-term effects unless you do it consistently every day.
I think there's like effects in your spine, maybe. No.
It stays in your spine. If you do a lot, it could really potentially mess up your spine. But that would take a lot.
You'd have to do it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
every day.
I heard about that too.
Every day. Shrooms don't really have. Neither does ayahuasca, mescaline, peyote.
Yeah, most of them are non-addictive as well. It's just like people get addicted to the
feeling.
Not even the feeling. It's more like the rush, like the rush of actually like doing a drug that's a Schedule I, like a legal
You
drug.
think so?
I think that.
I think some people get caught up on the euphoria of what
the
could be.
the trip itself is gonna be something that's like euphoric, like you said. It's something that could be mind bending, but I don't think it's to a point where it's like, oh, I love that feeling so much, I have to get back to it type shit. Most people will like enjoy their trips but understand that they don't need to do that for a while. I mean, most people, like I said, there's some people that are like, fuck my brain, I'm killing all the cells in there.
Some people just want to, I'm going to be saying goo goo gaga later, I don't care, I want to see the wall turn into marshmallows. Yeah. Which I've never heard anyone ever say that. You really got to be on one for that.
That would be lit.
I don't know, that's kind of intense, I don't know how to feel about that one.
Marshmallows? No way. But make some s'mores.
But stuff like that is the future, and that could be the future of medicine. Herbal medicines, they've been in society, not maybe our society, but in society for a while.
Who? What? Mushrooms?
Like ancient, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Civilizations, and not just mushrooms though. Mescaline, peyote. Yeah. Natives use that stuff a lot for big spiritual journeys,
Yeah.
Before they would go out and find themselves in the desert and come back, and you would be a man or a woman, Yeah. That's when you came back as official. You found yourself, who you are in the tribe. It is really, if you look into any of that stuff, crazy. The journeys that they would take with that stuff, insane.
That's crazy as fuck. I mean, honestly, I've been personally thinking about. I have no science to prove it, but like the story of Adam and Eve, like eating from the apple from the tree of life, like kind of like I would think about it as like maybe them like some type of monkey at that point, like kind of the stoned ape theory that Terrence McKenna had, where like animals found psilocybin mushrooms, it expanded their mind. Monkeys found psilocybin mushrooms, expanded their mind. They learned how to use fire, learned how to like develop like life. It expanded their brain so far they developed into humans, things like that.
That'd be intense.
Would be super intense.
Super intense.
Would be super
theory
intense.
You got there.
But that would be also like if the story of Adam and Eve was just like the first two monkeys that found like a DMT, like a some type of fruit that was rich with DMT or something like that.
So God created monkeys and was like, oh shit. They founded the mushrooms, the tree of life.
Right.
They're humans now.
But fungi are supposed to be like so much older than all of like most of the like life on Earth. Like, it's like a bacteria, isn't it? Fungi.
It is
like,
a bacteria.
So like I'm pretty sure that's been on like one of the first forms of life before monkeys or maybe even dinosaurs. I don't know.
It's a crazy thing to think about. Most discoveries or most written poetry, most of the ancient things are literature, anything like that comes from people who took something to figure out something else. I promise you, if you name one successful person, they were probably had tried something at one.
They probably tripped balls at some point, yeah.
Or did something crazy, something crazy.
Like opium was a big thing back then too.
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I don't know, because that's super addictive.
Right.
Opiates are terrible.
That was like a really big thing back in like the ancient ages, I believe.
Not even just ancient ages.
It's probably still like a big thing too.
Probably like 16, 17.
It's probably still a big thing.
18th, 19th, 20th.
Probably like 2019. Not that.
No, opiates are still not as bad as they once were.
I'm sure not as bad here.
Early 1900s,
I'm sure
20th century, people were still.
Oh
on
yeah,
opiates.
for sure. I mean, that's what I'm saying though. It's like they're probably gonna be around for a lot longer. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Drugs have been around for a long time. It's probably been one of the shaper. I don't know how you would say that. Like architects of civilization. Would be drugs.
The worst ones are the ones prescribed to us. Though it's literally these.
Well, that's the easiest ones to make. The ones that you can make the most money off of. Put it this way: whenever you work at a restaurant, what are the items that they tell you to push? The stuff that takes the least amount of money to make that they can charge the most amount of money for. That's the things that they want you to sell the most. So now when you think about it, you can get a whole bottle of pills with a prescription for what, like $16 or something like that. That shit'll kill you if you eat it all.
That's what I'm saying. This is what it is. It's, hey, it can help fix your stomach, but it may cause loss of feeling in your left arm, diarrhea, puking up blood. You may die.
Fatal. It could be fatal. It's like, dude, what? Like, this is being prescribed? Like, what are you talking about?
So, I may fix this one thing, but I may end up with a whole different problem later.
It's like you go to get a fucking over-the-counter fucking stuff, like antacid, fucking ends up fucking up your entire digestive system, and you end up in the hospital. You're like, how did I get here?
It's crazy because bacteria, antibiotics.
I said antacid.
I was saying antibiotics.
Antibiotics, yeah.
People take those and they destroy your immune system.
Fuck, I didn't know that.
When there's natural ways for your body to heal it. You don't need the antibiotics. You can build your immune system. There's certain fruits, vegetables, certain things you can eat that'll help build your immune system in itself. Certain meditations and practices you can do that'll build. And people say, oh, that's fake. Then why are there tons of people out there who do it that have better immune systems than most people? You're taking prescription drugs and look at you now. You look pretty sickly to me, man.
Look at you now, Charlie. This is what you get, pal.
It's terrible. And then people get addictions on those even more so.
That's the worst part, because it's like these pharmaceutical drugs have like stock like portfolios with like other pharmaceutical drugs that are for getting people off of addiction. So like they're basically getting people addicted to the drugs, and then also having money coming in from the companies that make the drugs that get you off of addiction.
But sometimes people
that
get addicted
they put
to
you
them.
on. Exactly.
Said, look, this is gonna hurt a lot. I'm gonna prescribe you this opiate that's really strong and you're super highly addictive. So try not to get addicted to it, but you might. So be careful.
But also, I know for a fact that you're gonna get addicted to it because you're a stupid person, probably, like most people are. And once you do, I'm gonna cash in because the person selling you the drug to get off the addiction, I'm getting money off his company. Thanks, boss. Thanks for your business. You're paying me twice.
And that's what's crazy is the way to we could be healing ourselves with our minds, not with our minds. I don't mean necessarily. You're thinking heal my body in a sense, yes, but more so we could be thinking of better ways to heal our bodies, such as our intake and what we're taking in, diet, exercise, things that we probably should be doing, but nah, that sounds stupid. I'm gonna put money in these companies that
not stupid, hard. People are like, that sounds hard. I don't want to change my whole diet. I don't want to exercise every day. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to change my entire life just to. What I can do is instead of doing all of that, just take a pill every day. Maybe two pills every day. I don't have to work out. I don't have to change my diet. I can eat whatever I want. I might get a little bit fatter, but fuck it. I can eat 2 pills a day. I'll be fine. Right?
I mean, yeah.
That's what most people say.
Die sooner, or you're putting money into companies that are basically destroying our planet.
Right. That's the route that most people take because it's easier. That's what people like. Isn't that why technology has been had such a boom to make life easier?
I mean, life is easier, but it's also becoming harder if we can't live in the world that we're in.
I mean, we are living though. That's what I'm saying.
For now.
I mean, I guess. I mean, of course, we're not like preserving our Earth, I guess, for future life, but we're not necessarily gonna see that much effects from it. So I mean, most of the people that are living right now are not really that worried about it, which is sad.
You say we're not
It's
seeing.
true.
You say we're not seeing.
I'm saying we're not gonna see drastic effects. Like our Earth is not gonna explode during our lifetime for the most part.
I don't know. It's drastic to you, but if you ask me, polar caps melting and animals dying, forests catching on fire, and the whole city getting covered in ashes. But it doesn't affect
anybody that can make change or that is actually causing that shit. It doesn't affect any of those people. It only affects the people in the polar ice caps, or like the people that
what about
actually
that whole city that was covered in a cloud of ash?
It affects them, but it doesn't affect the people in America or in in anywhere else but there. That's what I'm saying. It's like
What about constant earthquakes going on in California?
How much do people pay attention to that? Zero. They're like, oh, another earthquakes just because we live in California. People are like, don't live in California. You know how many earthquakes are going on over there? They don't say why is there earthquakes here. They said you know about that. So I mean, if you lived it, I mean, some people do.
What about tornadoes? There's a lot of tornadoes that have happened. Hurricanes.
People. That's what I'm saying. It's like this is what I'm talking about. People take it more into saying we can't do nothing about that. So just. If it happens, I mean, fuck, we'll try to figure it out after it happens. But, I mean, there's really no way to prevent it, right? That's the mindset that people take instead of figuring out what's the cause of these things. Some of them are natural disasters. Like, I don't know how to stop a hurricane. I mean, necessarily, I don't know the way to do that. What I do know is that, like, as far as, like, things that where it comes to, like, pollution or the fucking climate change or things like that you can kind of like have impacts on, and humans do have impacts on that, and we could change. But the thing is that that's actually not affecting anybody's regular day-to-day life, and not the people that are actually what's it called? Blah, 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 blah,
really good. It's a good point, Josh.
Not the people that are actually conducting the problem. That's what I meant to say.
Good one. It took you a while there. I like the bloops and the blops. It was close.
You're
welcome. It was a close race to what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
It was almost there.
But I was, yeah.
The world is a fast-paced place. We want the easy way out, but it's not always going to be the easy way out. And if you believe that pharmaceutical drugs are better, and you say drugs are bad, but you get prescribed drugs from the doctor, at that point, anything you say to me is invalid. If you say drugs are bad and you take pharmaceutical drugs, please never tell me drugs are bad.
Or if you could even go further than that. You don't even have to say pharmaceutical drugs. If you say drugs are bad, but you drink coffee for work, I mean, you're an asshole because you're taking drugs every day. If you say drugs are bad, but you have a beer after work because you had a long day, you're an asshole you're a hypocrite because you're taking drugs right there. And that's what I'm saying is people don't think about these things as drugs. I mean, it's a reality changing substance, right? I mean, when you drink, you get drunk. Your realities change. It's fucking wavy. Sometimes, like, some people can control themselves, and a lot of people can't. whenever you drink coffee, you fucking get a super rush. Like you just like some people compare taking cocaine to taking like a really like strong hit of coffee, and like a really strong coffee, you're up and you're ready to do shit. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Or like Adderall, like that's a pharmaceutical drug that people use for ADHD, but it's also abused for people to focus in college and shit like that. That's not, but it's not that. It's not like the most harmful thing, but you can abuse it to a point where it becomes addictive and harmful. People don't think about that. I think about I think it was Cat Williams, or I think it was Cat Williams joking. He was like, "Why is weed illegal whenever I can go to the pharmacy and get a fucking pack of Advil, pop out the whole bottle and die, but I can smoke as much weed as possible and never fucking kill myself."
It's a good point, though. At that point, who said weed's dangerous? Man, there's people out here taking hella pills, driving. Xanax should Xanax should not be a prescribed drug.
That's for anxiety.
Anxiety or depression. You have anxiety or depression. Let's suppress the feelings so you don't think about it. But guess what? You're not gonna be thinking about much else.
You're not gonna think about anything else. You're going to sleep.
A zombie.
If you're awake, you're a zombie. If you're not awake, which is probably most people, because this puts you straight to sleep.
So, you have anxiety? Guess what? You just ran into a car and now you're dead because no one.
Well, obviously they tell you not to operate like heavy machinery all off that shit. So I mean, that's your. I guess you got in the car at your own risk at that point. But at
people
the same
rob stores off of Xanax.
People, what is that Xanax that Roseanne Barr like tweeted all that shit off? I don't think it was.
No, that was melatonin. It was to go.
No, it wasn't melatonin.
Or something like that. It was to go to sleep. It was a drug to go to sleep.
What was it though? I forgot what that was. But basically, like, there's that drug where people are like, "I'll take that, go to sleep." The thing Joe Rogan talked about, one of his friends who took like that drug. I forgot what it was. Whatever, it doesn't matter. He took it, went to bed, woke up in the middle of the night, made a full turkey, cut it up, ate, made like green beans and mashed potatoes, cleaned all the dishes, put that shit in. The next morning he woke up and called the cops. Said somebody broke in my house. Somebody broke in my house and made my turkey.
Oh my god.
Bro, like what?
What did she? Oh yeah, she tweeted all that stuff. Said I don't remember.
She tweeted a whole bunch of racist shit.
Yeah. Looks like I went to sleep, woke up, and tweeted some racist shit.
I woke up a racist. I went back to sleep, woke up, and was like, "What happened?"
Talk about extremes. One guy wakes up and makes a turkey. I turn racist. Like what?
He said to his turkey, I raise you a racist card.
That's a hell of an excuse. She said, "What can I use?" With some off the wall shit.
She said, "What am I supposed to say? I took a drug that's prescribed to me." I mean,
wasn't the side effects they're gonna put may make you racist?
Bro, no, that was a meme. Somebody like pulled up the fucking like the label of the fucking pill, like a box, and on the fucking thing said may cause racist tendencies or something like that.
That's terrible. I guess it's remind me never to take that. Who knows what might happen?
I forgot what it was.
God.
I don't think it was Xanax, but it was something like that.
Something like melatonin though. It's similar to that. It's a drug to help you sleep.
Right. I don't know what it was though.
I think anything that's gonna help you sleep probably isn't best for you to take.
Unless you need to go to sleep.
I guess, but
some people have like what's it called?
Insomnia.
Like, insomnia, yeah.
Yeah. I guess for some people weed doesn't work anymore.
I mean, some people
CBD.
can't smoke because of their job.
CBD.
I mean, some people can't smoke because of their job.
But jobs don't test for CBD.
I don't know how that works.
These days, jobs only test for THC. CBD is not on the drug test.
I don't know how true that is for all jobs. I'm not going to put that out there because I don't know.
That's fair. Most jobs don't.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe they could have added it in though because it's become something.
But also, that may not work for people with insomnia. I'm not sure. CBD being the case. Might, but it might not.
It's kind of weird to test for CBD. I don't know if they have the equipment for that to test for CBD. The difference between CBD and THC.
I mean, they do have the equipment to test for THC on a drug test, though.
Yeah, but not CBD, or do they?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Find out next time on I'm kidding.
You're an idiot. Nah, but I don't know. It's interesting, bro. It's just weird. I mean, eventually, I think we'll get to a point where people are allowed to live freely and do what they please, as long as they're not hurting anybody else or hurting society or bringing anything negative things into people's lives or affecting any lives that aren't theirs. If they're doing what they love to do, enjoying themselves, or just trying to have an experience that changes their perspective on reality, I think they'll be able to do that at some point freely. I mean, maybe not like be able to take it like home with them and do it in their living room, but because then people might like just take that shit and go sell it on the streets too at that point. But to be able to take it in a controlled environment would be a step up for people. I feel like a lot of the people that make these laws and fucking vote on these things in Congress probably have never even like experienced with these things. So maybe we have people deciding on something when they have zero like position to stand on.
Because they don't understand it, haven't tried it, they don't know what they're doing.
They're speaking from an outside looking in the box point of view.
You can never do. I feel like you can't do that. I mean, they do all the time though.
That's the same thing on like war though. I mean, you have people calling for drone strikes that sit in a desk, like sitting at a desk in a room full of other people that have little badges on their vests and stuff like that.
I do the drone strikes.
Right.
You are an asshole.
I mean, maybe not an asshole. Maybe that does work for some positions of. Maybe I'm completely out of the loop on that, and maybe that's a solution that has worked and it was necessary, but it doesn't seem like it, considering that they said that more than 90% of the deaths that happened from drone strikes were innocent people.
That's a pretty strong statistic.
That's a pretty fucking high statistic. Maybe it was 80%, but that's still high as fuck.
Even if you went down to 60% were innocent people, okay, I guess you're killing some guilty people in there, but it's basically like bombing Houston, saying, I killed a bunch of murderers. Yeah, but you also killed a bunch of people that were just trying to go to work.
Right.
Like, what?
Right.
It's terrible.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know. So, I don't know how it's going to happen. It might just get to a point where the people that are making the laws actually have to, like, be well versed in what they're talking about. Maybe we'll get to a point in society where we don't have robots that are controlled by corporations that run our country. Maybe we'll get to a point where people that run our country actually give a fuck about progression and positive changes in communities and making a better future for the young ones in our country, the next generation. I don't know. We'll see.
Think for yourself, sheeple.
Sheeple. Yeah. I mean, be the shepherd, not the sheep.
That's all I'm saying. We're going to wrap it up there. Think for yourself. 5 minutes of meditation for a week. You'll meet us back here next week. We'll have more to talk about. Who knows what we're going to talk about? I guess you're just going to have to tune in to find out. These are your favorite two hosts, Daniel
and Josh. If you guys have any feedback, questions, comments, or concerns, let us know. You can hit us up on Twitter at Josh_M7 and
at RadDudeDandy.
You guys have a fucking incredible week, and we'll see you next time.
Far
Thanks for
from
listening,
finished.
motherfucker.